Right then, hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, one and all. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knickknack. I'm the brains behind Knickknack's Daily Teaser, which is a fun daily teaser, brain teaser quiz. It's fun, have a go. Keep your eye out for it and subscribe to my channel. You'll see today's quiz go past alongside yesterday's answers. I also talk about movies I like watching. I saw Superman a few days ago, or at least the original 1978 version, and it was good to see that again after 4.7 decades. I also talk about TV shows I'm watching, mostly Doctor Who and occasionally Star Trek. Today is Saturday, the 19th of July. It's 2025, and Thursday night I managed to see the first episode of the new third series of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. It's called Hegemony Part 2, and I wanted to tell you what I thought about it once I got finished writing the script. At any rate, this is my summary and what I thought of it. Episode 1, Series 3, Hegemony Part 2, opens with a summary of earlier events, more specifically, Hegemony Part 1. The last episode of Season 2. It follows on directly from the episode and shows us a dangerously undecided Captain Christopher Pike, Anson Mount, pausing whilst he thinks of how to follow the Gorn, quickly getting ideas from his crew before deciding to plant a tracker onto the fleeing Gorn cruiser with a torpedo. This happens before the team activate a Scotty-designed device that disguises the USS Enterprise as a Gorn ship. Post-credits, we see the Enterprise joining a Starfleet fleet in orbit at a rendezvous point not far from the Gorn demarcation line. And we see Admiral and Adrian Holmes, coming aboard to debrief Captain Pike in person. The scene shifts to sickbay, where Dr. Mabenga, Babs Olison-Moken, with him missing, Nurse Christine Chappell, Jess Bush, is in charge of sickbay and also in charge of treating the Gorn-infected Captain Battelle, Madeline Scrofano. Christine is deeply concerned as every single simulated treatment she can run shows no sign of working and every sign of killing Captain Battelle, something that causes the stoic captain to leave strict instructions with the beleaguered nurse. The moment it looks like me or the crew, you take me out. Things are no less desperate elsewhere. The missing crew of the Enterprise are trapped on a Gorn ship, complete with the surviving colonists, serious injuries, and evidence that survivors are being digested. Back on the Enterprise, Scotty, Martin Quinn, is being given a lecture by the Enterprise's chief engineer, Professor Bellier, Carol Kane. As Scotty's jury-rig design could hide the ship, but connecting it to the Enterprise is not going to be easy because, of course, Scotty hasn't catalogued how he built it. As Professor Bellier puts it, first rule of engineering, Scotty, write things down. Enter Blue Bottle. Once the Enterprise is at the rendezvous, Admiral April's briefing is thoroughly complete. He gives Captain Pike orders that are both official and off the record. Officially, the Enterprise is to patrol the demarcation line between the Gorn Hegemony and the Federation. Unofficially, Captain Pike is to show the Hegemony that the Federation
isn't prey.
Now, what did I make of Hegemony Part 2, of what I think is a powerful episode? One thing I should mention is that Hegemony, or Hegemony Part 1, as we should possibly be calling it, is quite some time ago now, I think of it. When I watched it back in 2023, I compared it to Aliens, the second movie of the Alien franchise. It was the music as much as anything else, that riff, as well as the basic concept, that of a heavily armed team rescuing colonists from hideous monsters. The second episode didn't get me thinking as much of Aliens as it did of the Borg. There's that scene where Lorne and the rest of her group find themselves waking up in a giant spaceship's stomach, watching their fellow survivors being treated as oil, if you will, and being broken down for fuel. It put me vaguely in mind of bald victims being assimilated. I don't think it's an exact parallel, though. The Gorn, it seems, are using survivors, as I say, as fuel, as a source of petrochemicals, rather than as new recruits. Possibly the aliens comparison still works, as some of the films show victims cocooned in much as the same way as Gorn cocoon their prey, and the xenomorphs will be using them as egg-laying stuff. So maybe there's a comparison there, maybe there's not. However, I, like many fans, will be comparing and contrasting. It's a lifeblood, I think, to anyone trying to do a review. One thing I think I should mention is Star Trek The Next Generation's first two-parter, The Best of Both Worlds Part 1 and 2. It was only the franchise's second two-part story. The first was Menagerie, back in the original series. But unlike the Menagerie, The Best of Both Worlds was the first to bridge two seasons. Part 1 was the final part of the third series of The Next Generation. Part 2 opened full season. The Best of Both Worlds was a model for Hegemony, if you want to look at it like that. And from what I know, it served as the template for a lot of Next Generation two-part stories. The reason I mentioned it is because I walked away from The Best of Both Worlds impressed with the overall story, but feeling that episode 1 was better than episode 2. Something I'm told is common for a lot of fans. We felt part 2 of The Best of Both Worlds was the weaker of the two episodes. I don't necessarily think that's the case with Hegemony. I actually feel both parts of this story are as strong as each other, and each part is as tense and dramatic as what goes before it or came after. They are both equally strong. There are probably a lot of elements I could jump on here. The main one that has caught my eye with this episode is quite simply this: the ensemble cast. Strange New Worlds as a series has a very strong ensemble cast, and it's a cast that Hegemony Part 2 uses very well. Standouts for me personally are Melissa Navia, as ever, as the mortally wounded Lieutenant Ortegas, flying a Gorn ship whilst bleeding all over the controls, absolutely stood out for me. That whole "I fly the ship" mantra of hers is repeated here as powerfully as it ever was used in Among the Lotus Eaters. It's that scene in Among the Lotus Eaters was a pivotal and a hypnotic one to watch, and hearing that phrase in this episode keeps you glued to it and realise quite how badly off Erica is during this scene. Martin Quinn's version of Scotty is another shining one. His scenes with Pelia and Captain Pike, we see Pelia keeping the captain off of her and her students' backs by telling the captain exactly what he wants to hear. And we see the look on Scotty's face as he realises his old teacher has just shown him exactly how you're supposed to manage senior officers. It's something we know the older Scotty, played by James Doohan, is very good at. Go see anything that features his version in any way, shape or form. There's that Next Generation one where he and Geordie are talking. It's quite something to watch, and it's exactly that point that I'm trying to make. The seeds of that were the seeds of this scene in Hegemony Part 2. Another shiner is Jess Bush, who was absolutely superb as Nurse Chapel, and showed us Nurse Chapel as she is, as a qualified medical practitioner in her own right, capable of saving the life of a patient. As a nurse, she won't necessarily be as intensely trained as Dr. Mabenga or any other doctor, but she does a good job with the knowledge that she's been given and knows how to use. The real star of the show, though, ensemble aside and the people I've named already aside, the real star of the show is Anson Mount as Captain Pike. Hegemony Part 2 shows us a captain, a man on the edge of his nerves, facing the the destruction of both his ship and his crew, the invasion of his home by the most destructive force his nation has ever seen, and a man who has to come up with a solution for all of this lot, whilst the woman he loves is dying in the ship's sickbay, posing an even worse threat to his crew in the process. Are we surprised, given all of that we see Pike arguing with the ghost, the memory of his long-dead father, conceding years of arguments about the subject, and getting on his knees to pray? That was and is a superbly written scene. It was and is a superbly produced scene. And it's a scene I very much doubt anybody but Anson Mount could have carried off with any certain amount of grace. It works as written and as recorded only with him. As a couple of quick thoughts, first things first, we see Captain Pike praying in this episode. This possibly isn't the place to talk about religion in science fiction, still less religion in Star Trek, but showing a man desperate enough to pray for his lover. Thank you, beeping phone. Showing a man who is desperate enough to pray for his lover is a brave move, I think, for a secular SF show that usually skirts around real-world religions, even when the franchise has used fictional religion in other serials. Secondly, on a much lighter note, Martin Quinn's character, his version of Scotty, introduces us to the Scottish word boarhead. B-A-W-H-E-I-D. Now, I am no expert on Scottish or Scottish English, but apparently it means idiot, or stupid person, or stupid thing. I am grateful for the learning opportunity the episode's given me, and I'm also glad he didn't use the words ball bag or pished. Pished means tired and emotional, in case you didn't know. Actually, it means 18 pints worth of tired and emotional. It's that kind of tired and emotional. Ball bag, B-A-W-B-A-G, by contrast, is something I'm going to let you look up for yourself. Enjoy what you find. Right, I can hear you thinking right now. You're going to ask the questions, aren't you? You're going to be sitting there saying, Paul, I hear you asking desperately, Paul, what did you think of Hegemony Part 2? I have to say it is a superb piece of work. The cast have put in a fantastic piece of work collectively and individually, especially Anson Mount as Captain Pike. It's his story as much as anybody else's. In producing such a great episode, I should also note that the crew have done a great job, utterly outstanding job, and in producing this episode, both the writers, Henry Alonso Myers and Davy Perez, sorry, I have to get that right, and the director, Chris Fisher, have put in a superb piece of job. And I noticed from the Wikipedia entries, they're also going to be working on the last episode of this season as well. I look forward to that. They've done good work here. Now, normally at this point, I would be turning around and saying something along the lines of, my only concern is, or my only concerns are. I'd be starting a sentence or two like that. But in truth, Hegemony Part 2 leaves me with no concerns at the moment. It's as good a piece of Star Trek, a good a concluding episode, and as good a season opener as I could personally hope to see. Frankly, personally, this is a good little opening episode, and I don't think I could ask for more. Go check it out yourself, see what you think, leave me a comment. Right, that is, for now, where I am going to leave things. I finished the script for this review yesterday, on the Friday the 18th of July. I actually saw the episode on Thursday when it released. But I'm going to have, or I have had, depending on when it is right now, when you're watching this, I've had the written and video versions of this review published on Saturday the 19th of July. The video is, of course, on my YouTube channel, Mr. Cuddy2977. The written version is on my blog, Knickknacks Old Peculiar. Go Google for it. This will be near the top of the list. If you like what I've done, please like and subscribe to me on both YouTube and on the blog. If you want to help the channel grow, likes and subscribes are good, as is maybe hitting the little tip jar icon hidden in the eye under the corner. Either way, whatever else you do, thank you for watching. Keep your eyes peeled for Tuesday the 22nd of July. That will be hopefully when I publish my review of episode 2 of this series, Wedding Bell Blues. And from what little I've seen of it, it sounds like it could be bloody interesting. I'll see you Tuesday, hopefully, or tomorrow when I publish the daily teaser. Have fun, be good, take care, and be seeing you.